Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And to the rest of you, how you doing? Peace. What's happening? Look, this is the first of two that I'm going to record on today's date. In this one, I just want to clear up some misconceptions about black women and their preference for Pookies and Ray Rays. Now, I have listened to what whites have said. I especially was active doing this, I would say, from the end of 2011 until the end of 2012. This is when I was paid nicely at a job and working away from where I had ever lived before. And I could go into nicer restaurants and I could sit down and I could eavesdrop on customers, most of whom were white. And as I eavesdropped on these customers, I must say, at the end of the day, I learned some things about them and the way they think. And they are quite, it comes with being white and Western. That's what it comes with. They are quite incapable of seeing that we're their equals. They're not capable of that as a society. Individuals may be, but as a society, they're just simply not capable of thinking of other people as their equals, let alone us. They cannot accept, and they can't confront themselves about it, so they can't undo a lot of the subconscious racism. It's just not something they're capable of doing. They're a goddamn problem, and they're a problem as soon as they realize that they're white and Western European and other people aren't. In Eastern Europe, I wouldn't expect the same thing to happen. But anyway, I'm talking about black women and their love for Pookies and Ray Rays, and I'm going to say this. What I just told you has to do with how I have learned about other cultures, the good and the bad. And I would say that in every culture, there are women who are somewhat hybristophilic. There are women who like guys that are violent and associated with violence. And if not violence, then at the very least, a high entertainment value and being carefree. There are women that they will try to mate with the guys that are fun and then get the guy that's not to take the responsibility of raising the babies. If women could do this all the time, the majority would. In Thailand, there are women who like to get involved with Western men, but they like to do it after they've already gotten pregnant. Now, the question would be, by whom have they gotten pregnant? Somebody that was fun. That's it. You see, to women, some men are like ice cream. They taste good right now. And some men are like liver. They're good for the long run, but they don't taste good. And then some men are like cantaloupe. They're generally good for you in the long run, and they taste good now. But you can't let them sit out too long. However, of course, the ice cream and the liver outweigh the cantaloupe. So the cantaloupe it has a time limit to it. You want to get both, you got to get a good guy at the right age. That's how it works. So consequently, a lot of these women decide in these places that they're going to go for the ice cream now, and they're going to try to get a liver guy to raise the baby. Pretty much the same thing as we've been saying in the West, alpha Fs and beta bucks. So you want to get the alpha's DNA and you want to get the beta's resources to take care of the alpha's offspring. And get the best of both worlds, have your cake and eat it too. But this is something that we have acted as though only black women want, and this is not true. There are some things that are unique to the black community in this regard. One is bad and the other one is good. And I'm gonna mention those, but we're not the only ones that have this phenomena going on. It is not just African American women. It's not just African Caribbean women. It's not just black women of any nationality, or all of the African diasporan women of the Americas, for that matter, that are into the bad dude, the one that's bad news, and has to hurt some people. That's not. It's not just us at all. For one, let me tell you, among the Mexicans and the Chicanos who were born in the States as well, this is a known phenomenon. I've heard some of the high school guys complaining about this. One of them complained to me about it when I taught him years ago. He said to me, they only want cholos, meaning gangsters. And even the girls that aren't even chola and nothing like that, they want a boyfriend that is. And I had to ask, why is that the case? I'd heard about this before. I mean, hell, white guys are complaining about the kind of guys that white girls want when they're young. Only difference is, of course, well, there's one of the differences I want to point out. But what I'm saying is that black women are not unique in the Americas or in just the United States for that. That's not by a long shot. Now, it is true that it is to a worse extent among African Americans than it is among other people. That is the case. Among African Americans, this preference is more widespread. It is worse. It is more of a demand than it is a preference. That is the case. If a woman is nice to look at and she knows how to behave and she can treat him and she's predisposed to treat a man nicely, best believe that if she gets a guy who's not thugged out and scary and intimidating to white folks, she's going to be questioned about that by her friends. Girl, why are you with him? You could be with somebody like that dude over there in the back of that police car. Why are you with him? That's very likely to happen. It is to a worse extent in our community than it is in the white community, and definitely than it is among other cultures, except maybe the Chicano culture. Now, among Chicanos, I ain't even talking about Mexicans per se, I'm not sure, but among Chicanos, oh yeah, that's bad. It is really bad. They want the dude that's you tatted up and got some bodies and knock some people out, and that's what they're looking for. El gallo. Which is funny because all it means is the rooster, but they're looking for that. El tigre. They ain't looking for the one that, whether he knows how to fight or not. I mean, even if he knows how to, they ain't looking for the one that ain't starting nothing and people ain't scared of him. The one whose name is not whispered when it comes to fighting. Don't want to hear nothing about that. No. They want the one other people are scared of. And that's where the issue comes in. That's where the problem comes in. But it's not just our community in which this exists. It's exaggerated in our community. I would say that because it is in our community where girls who are very attractive and grew up in nice neighborhoods and came from two-parent households still, for some odd reason, are attracted to the thug and they feel social pressure to be with the thug. When it gets to that extent, that's in our community. You don't find that a whole lot in other communities. And if it does exist, they shut the hell up about it and they keep it a secret. They don't just come out and say right off the bat. I mean, if you go into the Philippines, and we know that there are bad neighborhoods in the Philippines, but you don't go to those bad neighborhoods, and instead you go to one of the nicer neighborhoods, one of the nicer areas. If a girl from one of those nicer areas likes bad dudes, she ain't gonna tell her parents. She ain't gonna tell everybody. She may not even tell her closest friends. If that's really what she wants, she'd probably keep it a secret from everyone. That's the truth of the matter. That's where they're different from us in the bad way, the way that's bad for us. Now, let me tell you how they're different from us, but in a way that is good for us, the way in which we're winning. That is this. It is in the black community that we're discussing it. We're saying something about it. we're dealing with it as an issue, both on and off social media. Other communities are not. In the Chicano community, this is not being dealt with. It's not at all. In other communities, because it's such a small issue, it's not being dealt with. It may be off of their radar. In the Chicano community, I don't hear them talking about this at all. They say it exists, but I don't hear them taking to social media to try to fix this problem. And in the white community, well, my goodness, they talk about it, they know it exists, but there's no confrontation of it. You do not have any white women coming out and telling younger white women, look, your standards for judging men are so screwed up. You need to change this. You're like animals, really, in the way that you judge the men. You're looking for the most violent and the most intimidating man. What are you, a mountain goat? He has to butt heads with everybody else and come out the one winner to justify you liking him. And yet y'all already outnumber these men by so much. You see, the white women ain't doing this. At least people are talking about it in our community. So no, black women liking Pookies and Ray Rays is not unique to black women. The extent to which it is allowed and tolerated and even expected is unique to us, but also is the extent to which we are discussing it and confronting it as a community. That is also unique to us. So do not let anybody tell that we're absolutely worse than everybody else automatically. We're not. I hope this has been a benefit. Salam alaikum.